Hello and welcome to the highlights of Star Citizen's CitizenCon 2021. What happened? What was important? What was shown? What bits from the presentations are worth knowing? Let's take a look. CitizenCon had a much more understated gameplay demo this time around. It was near-future gameplay and not faked at all, was the idea here. It had the player showing 3 different ways of completing a new mission in Pyro to acquire a rare and expensive artifact. This showed off new clouds, a pyro planet, new homestead outposts, and the difference between passive, smash and grab, and stealth combat ways of playing the game. And these are the kind of choices that we will have to make when we're playing the game in the future. There have been a whole host of planetary updates, new biomes and stations for Pyro. There's been lots of work on rivers too, and we know that they're working on various creatures. Cloud Imperium are also working on a RTS real-time strategy style tool for player base placement. They use this at the moment to place outposts and homesteads themselves, but in the future it will be in players' hands, at least an evolved version of it. There are 2 new ships that were shown off during CitizenCon, the 400i, which is real, and it was part of the aforementioned gameplay demo. It's a luxury exploration ship similar to a Constellation with room for an X1 bike and a crew of 3. It's flyable in Alpha 3.15 as well and is available to purchase from $220. The other new ship they showed was a concept ship, the Anvil Liberator. It's a transport light carrier ship that has limited defense but a focus on transporting a mix of cargo, vehicles, small ships, and marines. It's quite expensive, from $500. We don't know when it's going to be in-game, but it's a very versatile transport ship. Cloud Imperium also showed off 4 new rough concepts that might make it into the game at some point. A large exploration ship that might be a competitor to the Carrack, a ground vehicle, potentially an APC, a hover vehicle, maybe like a new Gravlev bike, a single-seater ground bomber ship as well, and they did mention a mobile refinery ship that they said they will show us soon, assumedly at the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo later in November. There was a major concept update for the Banning Merchantman shown off as well, with the ship being made larger and a hangar bay for the Defender being added there. The ship is now in production, and it is very sort of like nautical shell and Tree of Life influenced, if I have to sort of describe it, how it looks. One of the presentations focused on the Gen 12 renderer and timelines for that. Alpha 3.15 and 3.16 will have various elements of the new Gen 12 renderer in, hopefully making the game look better, perform better. Cloud Imperium are working towards having a full Gen 12 renderer build in at some point over the next few patches. They'll then have this hybrid between DirectX 11 and Vulkan before phasing Vulkan entirely in and DirectX 11 out. Server meshing is a major part of making Star Citizen an MMO as well. There are a lot of features that are being worked on for this, and some of which are coming online in the very near future. iCache is starting to be used more in Alpha 3.15, for example. They're going to be sharding the verse so that there are multiple copies of the verse, and that players can move between those shards and can share persistent data and affect the greater simulation. You're not locked to a shard, and it's a passive transition, but it also allows for servers to crash less and be regenerated and save states more readily. There's a load of new tech going on behind the scenes. Objects and data are very modular in their system, allowing for a lot of redundancy and control. Cloud Imperium are planning for some of this work to be completed internally by the end of the year in regards to sharding persistence and the replication layer, and how dedicated game servers share data, but this is all steps towards having server meshing, static server meshing in, dynamic server meshing, and then the game as a true MMO. A major part of all of this, at least connected to it, is the Dynamic Universe Sim, and a major highlight was the presentation on Systemic Gameplay, Stream of Thought, that covered this. So, plans for physical cargo, which are going to be coming in stages. Firstly, making it interactable and lootable. That's a big important part of the game, and cargo will need to be moved off and on your ship when you buy it, and it's going to cost fees or time or both. That's all going to be associated with it. It's also going to be based on what sort of facilities the location in question that you're trying to buy from or sell to has. Reputation is one of the main ways to progress in the game. Missions, gear, and locations may require you to have certain reputations, and factions will treat you differently or attack you based on your rep. The Jumptown version 2 event is coming soon, potentially in Alpha 3.16 it seems. This has outposts spawn crates of drugs that players can then pick up and make large profits on, but locations can change. The outpost only produces them for a limited period of time. It could be different different cargo, it can be different amounts, it can be for different times, it can be different locations. Xenothreat may be returning again in the future with more improvements and potentially PvP integration. They've been working on prototypes of NPC escort and rescue missions too, selling more of our gear, like looted items, weapons, FPS gear, and things like ships and their systems in the future are starting to be more sellable later this year. So hopefully with 3.16 we'll be able to sell our FPS gear and stuff that we've looted from bodies. Something else planned for 3.16 is the start of some dynamic universe integration. This will affect the prices of fuel, repair costs, and their raw materials. The probability and type of encounters you'll get will also be affected by what's happening in the area, and combat beacons will be generated dynamically as well for players to get involved with. We also saw mention of a Pyromania new event potentially in the future. I would expect that would be in the Pyro system, and probably include the Fire Rats who like to use purifying fire in the Pyro system. Kind of a side note as well, Alpha 3.15 went to first wave PTU during CitizenCon. We are waiting on it to go to wider PTU and live over the coming days. So, what was missing from CitizenCon? For me, and I can only really talk about for me, there wasn't as much wow factor as previous CitizenCons, but this is potentially because Cloud Imperium are working on getting things into players' hands, and this demo wasn't faked. They focused on presentations of things that they are working on now and that the community are talking about, rather than having a sandworm there or some gameplay. They go, oh, look at this is really cool, this is what it's going to be like in the future. But they didn't have a big old sandworm, they didn't have the pyro jump point, which when they had shown was obviously just sort of a placeholder. I think some people are going to be disappointed due to lack of wow factor, but there was so much tangible information at this year's CitizenCon, and I prefer to have a CitizenCon event, even if it's just a virtual one, rather than no CitizenCon like we had the year before. A couple of other things, maybe a little bit disappointing, were the lack of Squadron 42 updates. I would have liked to have heard something, but it's possible we could see something towards the end of the year, maybe. They did say they didn't really want to show Squadron 42 stuff until it's close to completion, because then when they start showing stuff, it's going to be, bam, we're on the road to completion, and now we start our marketing campaigns and things like that, and we'll keep on showing things. Again, there was no Theatres of War updates, which is a shame. And we know they're working on that, in the same way we know they're working on Squadron 42, but the lack of updates leaves us all a little bit in limbo. And there's occasional little hints that they're doing stuff in the monthly reports and stuff like that, though. So, and we very much do get a whole monthly report on Squadron 42, so please bear that in mind. But other than that, I actually thought it was a pretty good event. Not the best event, not the worst. Nothing went wrong, which was a surprise. How is it a CitizenCon event when nothing crashes or implodes or is super cringe? My Kelto in-law ad got shown, which was a highlight for me and Zin. Also, as a backer as well, so if you're a backer, I believe that means if you've spent any money on your account, you should be getting a digital goodies pack from CitizenCon. So this is a suit of armor, CitizenCon trophy, and knife that will be attributed to your account at some point. I am really looking forward to the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo at the end of November, and it looks like from CitizenCon they were showing us some tangible features which are going to be ready for 3.16. And I am very much looking forward to that. When are we going to see Pyro? I don't know. Middle Q2, Q3 next year, probably Q3 next year, something like that would be my optimistic assessment. But they are plodding along, getting there, and it's not just gameplay area that they've been working on. They've been working on a huge amount of content, which is so important for the game that we saw at CitizenCon. The Gen 12 renderer and Vulkan integration, the universe simulation and quantum stuff, the server meshing. All of that is so important, as is gameplay loops. And it was a bit of a shame we didn't see salvage as well, for sure. But I'm hoping that we, again, see some more of this in the near future. But I'm interested to know what you think. Were you expecting to see more or something else? What do you think we missed? What do you think we should have paid more attention to? Did you love the event? Are you waiting for Alpha 3.15 to be in your hands? Or are you very, very excited about 3.16 at the end of the year? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Some people say I shill for NordVPN, but listen to some of these comments that I just made up. I've never fed the love of a woman before, but then I got NordVPN, and that didn't matter. Doctor said I'd never walk again, but then I got NordVPN. Now I've been running marathons. Also, I got robot legs around the same time. They might have helped somewhat too. I was a tone-deaf pirate, but after getting NordVPN, I'm able to play the saxophone. Go on, Zin, try and animate all of this. Click then explode to get NordVPN. It might lead you to a more fulfilling life, but more likely, it will just help protect you from the terrors of the internet. What ship are we giving away in October? It is one of the most exciting ships we've given away, and one of the most popular. It's the Argo Cargo. So many people liked it, we thought we'd give one away, instead of a Mercury Star Runner, or a Carrack or something else. You can do fun things, like fly around a planet, or fly very slowly into the sun. And it also makes my top 16 ships that I liked in the Ship Showdown this year. Me and Zin are sort of on holiday for a week, so we had to quickly film a ship giveaway, so we do have CitizenCon coming up, and we may have some other things going on the channel that will make it worth your while commenting, so do what you want. I'm not your dad. You should definitely press the join button below my videos, though, and you should certainly like and subscribe, and bell bother. Click on the bell. I don't know what it does, but it makes me money somehow. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Thanks very much for watching, though, and I'll see you in the next one.